I didn't really want to be here, and I'm still not sure that I do. I was a very reluctant participant. In fact, it was the first time I sat on an email for a good number of days where I was like, am I going to lean into this or am I not? Am I going to become known as the menopausal founder, t-shirt, hashtag, or am I just going to quietly go away? So the whole thing came about because of my good friend Leah Sarich back there. Those of you that know Leah knows she has this incredible ability in her podcasting to get you into a nice quiet room, tell you stories, talk to you, and forget that there's other people recording and then that they will be listening. And in this lovely conversation that I was having with Leah, talking about the journey of the company and how I was feeling and how things had come, all of a sudden I got to this point where I stopped and I asked permission. Can I say it? Can I say the word? And she said, yes. And so I said, I realized I was in menopause. And then came the fear that, oh my God, this was on tape. And now it was going to be out there. And that's when I started to see the recoil on everyone's face. And not just the men, the young women, the menopausal women, the ones that had been there and done that. And there was this automatic like, oh, you're going to go there. And then I realized that we had to go there and that this was the next conversation that we had to have. Because we're all getting really comfortable with women being in the room, and we're getting comfortable with women leading companies and doing great things. But we're still not quite comfortable with the fact that there's this other thing going on. We are hormonally programmed, all of us. That is how I have a PhD in biomedical engineering. I can tell you with complete authority, we are hormonally programmed. But from a personal perspective, we are hormonally programmed. I gave birth without drugs. Why? Because my hormones allowed me to. Not because I have a high threshold, because my body took over and let this thing happen that had to happen. And afterwards, I asked if we could run a marathon because I was so alive and full of energy, and then moments later, I didn't move for another 3 weeks. And those are hormones. And when we are young and we have children, we have these hormones that say we can do it all. We can do all the things. We can do the decision and the cup and all these things. And then our hormones change where we're like, I don't want to do half of that stuff. And I don't want to do all the things for all the people and be all the things in all the times. I really just want you to shut up and get out of my face. And we have to somehow allow that hormonal change to also come. So here I am. The problem is I'm the least knowledgeable person about menopause because I spent years literally listening to my friends talk about it and think, oh God, I don't know, sorry that's happening to you. Meanwhile, thinking, wow, this company's making me crazy. I have all the, I'm not sleeping. I'm worrying all night about this company. I got to rein in my work-life balance and not associating it at all with any sort of hormonal change, literally until shortly before I had the conversation with Leah, like a year ago or whatever. So I was already through it mostly until I realized that this was something that was happening to me. So at the same time, I also had started to appreciate that there was this power in it and that it was actually working really well for me, and that a lot of the things that I saw in my life were things that I was attributing to the positive effects of menopause. So I had a story to tell, but I have no information to share with you about how to tell that story. So I did what any smart person does these days, and I had a conversation with ChatGPT or AI, and I asked it, how come I'm going through this, but I feel awesome? And so it gave me 4 or 5 points, and I read them and I thought about them. I'm like, yeah, that kind of captures it. So this is where it came up with Menopause, the Ultimate Startup Pivot. So number 1, there's a forced rebrand. So you have less pleasing hormones, estrogen, and more clarity hormones, testosterone, and you have no more energy for fluff or nice to have or anything like that, which is completely the startup mentality. Get her done and get her done fast. Second is lean methodology and energy management, a very important thing to have during menopause. You're forced to start to learn to say no, and you are automating, delegating, and executing and eliminating any of the noise that you need to have, both in your life and in your business. Another excellent startup trait. And then we have this thing called the heat, which is really the emergency or the urgency and the hyper-focus, this driving sense to get things done, get out of my way, and let's make this happen. Because, of course, you also have the wisdom to execute this drive to have a legacy and to make these things wrap up. And a side bout of additional emotional resilience, also hormonally related, because you no longer really care. And so I'm going to end this talk maybe a little bit quick, but this is the topic of menopause, and we have things to get on to, and we don't have a lot of time to sit around and talk pleasantries. So I end with, are we powerful? Yes, we are. Will we succeed? Yes, we will. Do I feel comfortable in a room talking about it? No, I don't. But for the first time in my life, I really don't care.